Good afternoon and welcome to a webinar from Linköping University. Today we have a webinar for those of you who are admitted to a program within engineering or computer science at Linköping University. So first of all, congratulations to those of you who are admitted. This webinar, we're going to talk a bit more about the academic side of studying an engineering or science program at Linköping University. So it's to make you feel a bit more prepared what to expect in the classroom. Just bear in mind, we won't be able to answer any individual questions about admittance or about your application. So that's the kind of the general plan for the next hour. We're going to be talking for about half an hour, me and my two guests, who I'll introduce in a minute. And then we're going to open up for questions from you guys for the next half an hour. And your questions, please put your questions in the Q&A section. You'll see there's a chat function and there's a Q&A section. We're going to answer the ones that you put to us in the Q&A section. You could use the chat to say hello to each other. This webinar is also being recorded. Will be available on our YouTube channel and our website later on. I think that's all from me. Let's start with you. Who are you?
Thank you. I'm Anand. I come from Bangladesh. I did my bachelor in mechanical engineering back there. Then I moved to Sweden to pursue my mechanical engineering master's program. I'm a second year master's student right now.
Thank you. And?
My name is Mattias Henningsson. I'm working here as a teacher, mostly for industrial engineering and management program, but I also see the mechanical engineering students and so on. I'm teaching in production economics, mainly.
Okay, excellent. So a few might actually meet Mattias when you arrive in the autumn. Well, they certainly will.
The first day, usually I say hi to them, and also having at least one course, and also the project course in the second year.
So, great. So we're going to give you an overview and try and give you a better feel for what to expect in the classroom, and from your perspective, the student perspective, how has it been for you, but also kind of sharing some of the expectations and tips on how to make your time here as successful as possible. So let's start with you, Anand. What is it like? What's LIU like?
Well, I'd say that LIU is very friendly for international students. They have ESN, the Erasmus Student Network, and ISA, the International Student Association. They have been amazing and really helpful from day one. They would do a lot to make you feel comfortable in Linköping, from introducing you around the city to giving you a tour of the campus, as well as I think most divisions have their own master's fathery program. I was also fathery last year, so they also help a lot as to how to get familiarized with the website, for example, how to submit your assignments. And so I've never really faced any issues that I couldn't find a solution readily, because I could always ask a student, and everyone is really helpful and polite and very engaging, I'd say. So it has been a really amazing experience. So I really loved my 2 years in here.
No, I'm glad to hear. How has it been? Has it been very different, or has it been similar to you said your bachelor was in Bangladesh?
Yes.
Has it been very different?
For me, it was very different, because back in my country, still most of the submission and exam process are manual. We don't really use a centralized portal for example, sharing files or submission, which is in Sweden. It's for example, they have Ladok for the result of each subject, which is centralized as well. So these type of things, but they are very easy to get used to, and most people will always repeat these things, and there are instructions written as always provided, and there are many seminars throughout the very early few weeks. The university hosts, the different student bodies host, and then they would usually tell you again and again, so you'll very, very quickly get used to it. It is different, but it's also very user friendly.
What about the teaching side?
From the teaching side, it's here in LIU, most of the engineering program, they are there are courses that has only a final exam, and then there are courses that only have a final project. So, and then there are courses that is a mix of both. So, but I'd say that it's more practical in terms of how the courses are structured. Usually, the lectures or the labs that the professors design, they focus on a real application. And most of the time you will also have the freedom to choose your own project. So then that gives you endless possibility of what you're passionate about. You can just focus on that. For example, in my program, mechanical engineering, most of the projects that I did, I was able to select, okay, I want to do this. I'm passionate about cars. I want to build a car. So then I can do that. And then the professors would try to find a way to integrate that project into the course. So it has been really great.
It's been really flexible and,
yes,
and
it's
really,
really flexible.
really approachable.
Yes.
In the sense. I just want to ask you, Matthias, so we have a system of what you're saying, kind of, you know, the exams or the project course. We have a system of doing courses and then we have exams rather than the whole kind of, you do a whole year and then you do. Can you explain?
We divide it into 4 periods, as we say, where you take 2 or 3 courses at the same time. We have 5 courses each semester, which is the Eastern and the fall and the spring semester. So usually you have 5 courses during the fall, and the first period is 2 or 3 courses, and the second is 2 or 3. And sometimes you have one long course, as we say, where you have your 6 credits during the whole fall. And then we have the exam period. So we start with 7 weeks of teaching and doing your projects, and then you have re-exams and exams during 2 weeks' time. And then you start over again.
So you don't, so you kind of, you know, you build upon what you have. You don't have to kind of memorize everything and then at the end of the year you sit there and you fret.
Hopefully
and you go.
you memorize it all, because they are sometimes built on each other, but I understand what you're meaning.
Yeah.
You want to go to the exam and then
focus
yes,
on
and
one
then-
thing at a time properly.
or
Yeah,
2 things.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next, and hopefully you have a progression and you remember the best things from the previous course, and you use that in the next course. Yeah.
How did you feel about this? Because in Bangladesh, do you have end of year exams? I mean, is it more kind of everything in parallel?
In Bangladesh, we also have parallel courses running, but we have one final exam that would be 100% of the entire credit. So, but here in Liu, a lot of the courses are broken into labs and then a project or a final exam, and sometimes all 3 of them together. But I really agree with on the point that one of the things that I think Liu prepared me the most is to identify, select, and apply theory. For example, I would not say that you have to memorize anything at all, because the first thing they will do is they will ask you to read a lot of literature in seminars, and then they will train you how to find out information that you need to use so that in future you can solve a problem on your own. For example, there would be textbooks and then formula books, then they would teach you or kind of like train you through exercises or labs or projects to then go there and find out what information I need, and then if I am able to use that information to solve a practical problem, which is something I think is built into most courses, at least in my program it is. So that was really helpful.
So you're basically learning to become a problem solver.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what the courses, most of the courses, that's
Yes.
the core really
Exactly.
of the courses?
Yes.
Yeah. And how, I mean, are there, what are the challenges? I mean, when you come here and you kind of think, oh, great, you know, you see these kind of 2 parallel courses and then you have like 7 weeks and you think, oh yeah, great. And then the next one, you know, are there challenges as well?
I think it could be sometimes overwhelming if you don't have, because each course have their own requirement, but mostly the professors will provide you all the materials beforehand. But sometimes if you are a master's student, usually the Swedish student would do a basic course in their first 3 years, and then you would do the advanced course with them. So then they already know certain things about that particular topic. For example, in my case, they learned Creo much earlier than us, and I never learned Creo before. But then Creo is a CAD modeling software that we use, Creo parametric.
Okay.
So then it was a bit challenging at the beginning to catch up to them, because you would be paired with them as a group, in a group, and then they already know a lot of stuff before you, but they're also really helpful. But the good thing about those type of course is the professor would provide all the information about the previous course, so you have time to then revise through the course content. And another thing would be a good suggestion is to never miss any labs, because that would make the course really challenging. And it's not mandatory to attend any labs, but if you keep missing labs, you'll miss out a lot of information. And lab assistants are the most helpful and could be a savior for the course, because you can ask them any questions you want as many times as you want. They will always help you. And
Are they also students, the lab assistants?
PhD students, or sometimes also students, depending on, usually not on master level, because it's better to use the master students for the bachelor courses. So therefore, I guess it's mostly PhD students, and sometimes it's teachers as well that are participating. Yeah, in some courses. Maybe not the professors. But
No, but yeah. But I think this is really important, the kind of the emphasis on not missing anything. And you know, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk a bit about the roll call. The roll call is the start of the program, and you'll find it on the LIU admitted pages. You find your program and you find the date for the roll call. This roll call is mandatory, so you have to be here physically present for the roll call, or you will lose your place. So check out this date and make sure you're here for it. But this kind of, you know, so it's not just a bureaucratic thing that, you know, we want you to be here on a certain date. It's also there to make sure you don't arrive late and you miss things, because from what you say, if you're 2 weeks late, you would struggle to catch up.
You will miss a lot, and also you miss your friends in the program who has been friends already after 2 weeks, and then you don't find your lab group or whatever. So it's good to be there, networking, knowing your friends, maybe take some beer as well, and meet other students from other programs. It doesn't just need to be your program. So it's nice 2 weeks in the beginning with a little bit of networking and studying as well, in a nice mixture. And we are very famous for that in Sweden, that we have, I will say, the best reception period in the country. And it's also the master students will use this a little bit. You come a little bit earlier or later than the other engineering
But it's
starters.
actually a good. I spoke to another student from another program the other day, and she suggested that you should come actually even a little bit before the roll call to kind of get familiar with. I mean, it's that same, get familiar with kind of the practical things of finding a way around Linköping. Where's the food? Yeah, getting a bike, exactly. But not
Very
getting lost on
important.
your bike. I mean, do you share this? Because then when the studies actually start, you don't have to worry about the practical.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that point, because if they're different culture, for example, a Swedish and people come from different cultures, so it takes a bit of time to get used to that period of the ice breaking period. So then if that conflicts with your study week, then it becomes a bit more stressful. So always try to come early, but for example, if it's not possible, then I think it's also very important to mention that if you cannot attend the roll call, so that the university is aware about it. Otherwise, you're going to lose your spot. So make sure to mail the university if you're
It's actually this year it's properly mandatory. So unless you're like, you know, stomach bug on the day, I mean obviously, but you need to be here for the roll call. It is actually really important. But there's also arrival days, which is when our international office have extended hours. So they open between 11 and 8 in the evening. So if you arrive on those days, you know, there'll be staff here to guide you. There's also a free shuttle from the local airport, so Linköping Airport, or the central train station in Linköping. and that shuttle service takes you to Campus Valla, where you can meet the staff at the international office. And then there's also free transport to your accommodation. And these dates are 2nd of August, 15th and 16th of August, and 22nd and 23rd of August. So make a note of these. These are also on our admitted pages. But it's a good thing to arrive in time on one of these dates. There's also welcome to LIU information sessions, and the one for the Faculty of Science and Engineering is on the 25th of August between 1 and 4. So there's also something to bear in mind. Attending that is quite good. But I want to go back to something you said before about one of these programs, that the one I didn't understand, a CAD program. Should students prepare anything in the summer before they come here? Do you see there's a need to kind of go have a look at various programming skills, or?
We don't use that much programming, but I mean Excel, it's nice not only to make the summation, it's a little bit more of getting knowing how to Excel works. That's good. I think in your program MATLAB is nice to have seen. And I think there is a student version when you comes to LIU, yes, that you can download for free. So you can, I don't know if it's possible either, because when you're in India or wherever, but when you come here it's for free. So maybe some CAD in your, so it's a little bit different from the different programs, but I would say for industrial engineering and management, I would say Excel. Yeah. That's to be familiar. Yeah. I will say
be familiar with it. So if there's anything you do want to do in the summer, have a look at these kind of the basics, so you're familiar before you get here. And I think also you were talking about there's a lot of reading.
Yes.
So again, the English?
Yes, I think I talked with a few students and they said that one thing that would help them if they would have some practice of academic writing, because the moment you start your course, you have to submit a lot of assignments. You have to read seminar, do summary and present it later. So it takes a while to get used to the academic English language. For example, in how to write a lab report, and there are certain words you should not use. And then it's better if you throw out the summer practice academic writing. For example, in Coursera, they can do a free course on academic writing, or edX, they have amazing resources, so you can just look through the video.
Coursera and
EDX.
EDX. So Coursera and EDX, have a look.
Yeah.
That's really, really good advice. When they do get here, so you have these kind of study periods, but the study periods, what is it? Is it kind of 8 to 5? Is it lectures? Is it seminars, labs? What's the mix generally?
In general, most of the class will start at 8. It depends on your course, obviously, but then the courses usually run until 5. If you have 3 courses at the same time, you might have some days that all of your classes are together. And usually the labs start from 5 and continues. Oh, sorry, if I want to say it in the 24 hours digit, it should be from 8 to 17 and then 17 to 21.
Wow.
That's the lab period, at least in mechanical engineering. Most of in the first year, all of the labs were during the in the evening period, and in second year, since more of your courses will become project heavy, and then you will have less theory class and more lab sessions, and then they will move those labs in the morning session.
Okay.
But then there is always an opportunity to select a lab session that you want to do, so it's also very flexible. If you cannot attend a certain time, there would be same lab happening multiple sessions, so you can join another session.
Usually about, I guess, 80 to 100 students in one course, because you're about, let's say, 50 at the mechanical, and then other students from other programs is joining that course together. So therefore, and the labs, I guess, is 25 in each room or something. So you need to have 4 or 5 parallel sessions or something like that. Okay. And that's why you can choose from different time slots.
So you need to be kind of very structured, because I mean you've got this full-on 8 to 5, and sometimes even in the evenings.
Yeah, sometimes.
But yeah, and then you mentioned, but you need to kind of read it and be prepared.
Yes.
So it's really quite, you really need to plan to be able to balance studying with your kind of work-life balance.
Yes, exactly. Planning is very important. Also, it's very important to work every day, even if you're stuck, make small progress, because what I realized working with more Swedish students is that they work every day from 8 to 5, regardless of if they have classes or not. And during the weekend, they don't work, they just relax a lot. And I find that practice very useful instead of piling a lot of the work just before the submission deadline, which I used to do before, but now I've gotten used to the new and better system. So always make sure to study even a little bit, even if you're stuck, but then keep making progress. That's very important. And planning also, because you have to cook your own food, do your laundry, and also have to de-stress as well. So it's very, very useful to maintain a calendar. And you can also use the LIU has its own calendar, so you can integrate it very easily with your personal calendar.
But you usually go to university and sit on campus studying.
Yes.
You find your place. You're not sitting home by yourself studying, or so there is always friends to ask. You don't need to ask the lectures all the time. It's of course okay, but also you have your friends. And so it's a lot of crowdy in the A house, as we say.
Is it? It's A building. Yeah,
the A
when
building.
you get here, you'll see the campuses, A building, B building, and it's a long campus. But what about, when you talk about you're with people, what about group work? Is there a lot of group work?
There is a lot of group work. A lot of emphasis is put on group work because when you apply for companies in the future, they would ask, do you have experience working in a group, for example, sharing knowledge or understanding each other, understanding the collective goals, how to handle a conflict in a group. So the professors and most of the course are built around this concept of group work, where you'll be from 2 to 5 people, and then you will do a project together at the end. So it's very important to be punctual, to arrive in the meeting in time, because that's important for everybody, and also to take responsibility of your work, because if you promise something you'll do, then it makes sure that you keep your promise, because otherwise the entire group will fail. It's very important to also be consistent.
So you kind of pull your weight. Group work is not an easy way out, really, is what you're saying. You still need to be a very active participant.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the lectures, we are not pointing out exactly what you should do. We give you an assignment that could be rather difficult and not perfectly designed. So it's a little bit tough to understand and do that in the group and answer all those assignments. So it's not directly giving the exact assignment. So it's a little bit different, what I understand, that maybe from India or from others, where you should more repeat maybe what you have learned. Now you need to be your own teacher and take responsibility to make the project.
And I think that's kind of there's a lot of that kind of emphasis on being proactive and independent, I think. I mean, what does LIU expect of our students? I mean, what do you see as the key components of being successful?
I think is that to be working in a group, but at the same time being working by yourself is difficult to say, but you should take care of your own things, but at the same time listen to the group, working towards a goal for the group, and not being late there. You be there, do your work. So that's what we want, and students that really showing their interest and they work hard. Maybe sometimes they don't understand everything, then we will help them. But otherwise, coming late and not being there or not coming to the labs, Okay, it's up to you.
So
A
it's
little
very
bit
much-
more.
It is a lot of. I mean, you know, we're dealing with adults,
Yeah.
and so you know, and you're treated like an adult, and you're expected to behave like an adult and take
Yes.
responsibility for.
And then we
your
love
own-
to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what I've heard is our staff, our teachers, are very approachable. You're kind of you're there, and it's first name basis.
I mean, it's natural for us, but what we hear from even Germany or France or China or India or whatever, it's that we are a little bit more friendly, open doors, as you say, first names and so on.
Yeah.
So we want our students to knock on the door, and
Do you feel comfortable doing that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's not just saying that. I need you to, you know.
Yes, I completely agree. Professors are really approachable, and if you are curious and passionate, and they would help you even more. So in my experience, they don't really put a lot of stress on you and will never say that you have to do this. But if you put in the effort, then they will put even more effort to help you and make sure you understand the topic and explain you again and again with multiple examples. So it's very important to be curious and passionate about the courses you are taking. And that's, I think, one of the best thing I forgot to mention, that in LIU, most of your master's program, you can build your own profile. Each of these masters have their own profile. For example, in mechanical engineering, we have 5 profile, or we call it specializations as well. And aside from that, you can also tailor-made your own profile and select courses that you're really, really interested. And then, so there is no stress for learning something that you don't want or don't feel interested. So.
Okay, so it's
So that helps with it's very important to select courses that you are interested.
That you actually like.
Yes.
Is that common across kind of?
I would say so, because most of our programs is built together with other programs, 5-year programs from Sweden.
Because the Swedish programs are bachelor and masters, you apply for everything in one go.
Yeah, exactly. So that becomes 5 years, and those profiles are usually in English, and of course we are using them. But some of the profiles might be in Swedish, and then you can't find them.
Yeah.
But usually most of the profiles in computer science, in electrical engineering, and also in aeronautical sustainability, industrial, mechanical, they have those many profiles. We have 3 in industrial engineering, for example.
So it's basically, you know, as long as you're kind of ambitious and curious and kind of you know, proactive.
Yes.
There's a lot of help to get. I mean, there's a lot of support and you'll be challenged, you know, but
Yes.
you'll make it fun as well if
Yes.
you participate.
Exactly.
I think that's the key, isn't it? That's what I'm hearing anyway from you guys.
You're right.
We are going to move over to questions in a second. I just want to hear one thing from you. You know, everybody talks about when they come here and you have the honeymoon period, August, September, and it's like nice, and then you get to November. How do you cope with that? I mean, did you feel that kind of slope when it kind of?
For me personally, it was a bit difficult because we arrived in the peak COVID time and everything was in lockdown. But this winter, for example, was really nice. For example, I would frequent in the university a lot because when I first arrived, we were not allowed to study in the study rooms because of the social distancing. But now we are allowed to study, so I always meet my friends, do activities. So it gets a bit difficult since it's always night, but that's a very...
Not always.
No, not always.
We have a window with a few hours, but yeah.
Yeah, but
I know.
Yeah, after a while you get used to it, and if you will always find a lot of friends, and then you'll never be lonely. At least I never was. So.
Oh, good. And I think getting out of bed and actually going to campus, I think that's a really good advice to kind of, you know, don't stay in bed, even though it's tempting, very tempting. But thank you. I think we're gonna see if we have any questions. Before, just one quick. There's lots more tips on our blog and our Instagram page and on our podcast, which is called Fika with Us. The blog is International Program Students at LIU, and on the Instagram it's Linköping.University. So have a look loads of tips from current students. Our students run the Instagram account and the blog and the podcasts, again student led. So you'll find lots of good advice, and especially on Instagram you can ask questions. Right, we do have some questions. Somebody from India is wondering about job opportunities after studies. Have you started applying it?
Yes.
Yeah?
I have also attended a few interviews, and I think right now it also obviously depends on your subject, but there are a lot of job opportunities, and LIU hosts their own job fair every year. So it's very useful if you attend those job fairs. You'll find a lot of opportunities, and companies are very approachable. You can just email them, and professors will also, and the teaching assistants will also guide you if you want to find a job in a specific area of interest. And you will also be doing a lot of during a master thesis, you will also communicate with the company, and usually that also opens a lot of network. So I would say that the opportunity is very good.
Mm-hmm. Is that your experience from previous students?
Yeah, I think so. It's not that easy to know where everyone is going, or if they're leaving or going back to India or back to Spain or whatever, or if they are staying here. But I know some students that are still in Sweden working from abroad, starting this program.
And I think I do think choosing an engineering or computer science program, you tend to get away with just speaking English a bit more than you do within kind of humanities and social sciences. But it's still a good idea to learn Swedish. Are you learning Swedish? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
It's really useful if you learn Swedish because it would help you not only be more friendly with the Swedish native people, nationality people, also in the company it would be much easier to communicate.
And I think it shows that willingness that we talked about even in your studies.
And also if I'm comparing to where I'm working, I mean, we are usually talking Swedish during our coffee or fika sessions, but then of course we switch to English if it's work related. But knowing some Swedish during those kind of breaks is very good.
Yeah.
And that's the same, I guess, if you work at Saab or Ericsson or whatever, that you will talk a little bit more Swedish during
the breaks, the social
during
kind of
social things, yes.
Activities.
And that's very good with some knowledge in Sweden. You don't need to be an expert.
No. Yes. You need to know how to order your fika, your coffee, your buns, basically. Thank you. Right, there is a mandatory meeting for each program on a specific date. Is it in person or online? That is in person, unless you're studying a distance program, but there is none within this subject area. But if you're kind of here watching anyway from one of the social sciences, but within engineering and computer science, there are no distance programs, which means that all the roll calls are in person. So you have to be here in Sweden. Yeah. Next question. What is the course duration? Like, how long is a lecture?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
45 minutes,
yes.
15 minutes break, and then 45 minutes again. So we start
15-minute break.
15 minutes and 45 minutes. So we start 8:15.
Okay.
We call it academic quarter in Sweden. And so we stay, and then you go to 9, and then you have a break for 15 minutes, and then you go to 10. And the next one starts 10:15, and so on.
Okay.
So it's
an
it's
hour and a half,
four
right?
blocks during a day.
So 8 to 10, 10 to 12,
Yeah.
and 1 to 3, and 3 to 5, I suppose.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
correct.
Okay.
It's very simple, and then you can move between courses because the courses are in different blocks. So we try to not put the same courses that you take in the same block between 8 and 10. Then it's the next. So
it's quite a puzzle you have to fit.
Yeah, we help you in the first semester where everything is usually mandatory or close to mandatory. We will help you, but then you need to elect courses if you take a specialization and so on.
You need to make sure that fits in.
But we help you saying that this is in the same block. It will.
Yeah, it won't. That's
It will collide
okay.
or it will not
Okay.
collide.
Oh, okay, that's good. I didn't know that. Is there anything like office hours where students are permitted to see the lecturer in their office when they need clarity?
My door is always open. I don't
10 at night?
between, I will say 8 to 5,
Okay.
something like that. If I teach a course, usually I teach 2 hours a day or something. I mean, we have other things to do as well. And then the door is open.
Is that
And
same?
or the email is opened, or Teams is
Yeah.
now open
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not open because I'm on the meeting or something like that. But
It's
usually
easy to get
it's
hold.
rather easy, I will say.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the pandemic had made us sitting at home a little bit more, but hopefully we are open up more and more and more.
Yeah.
And to the autumn, I think we are
Working
almost back in
Yeah.
normal.
But we are, I mean, it's, you know, you mentioned Teams, we have Microsoft Teams, so we have the whole Microsoft 365, there are lots of apps, but Teams is something we use, and it's really, you know, you send a quick message to somebody and you know, they'll respond usually pretty quickly. I mean, yeah?
Yes, also during the lab session you can also ask professor questions about the theories or the labs or the project you will have, and if it's a project related course you'll have personal meeting with your professor or your supervisor all the time, so then you will have like a one-to-one meeting most of the time. So
It's up to each teacher to tell you how to communicate. Some say, I don't know Teams, and sometimes are using Teams 100%.
Yeah.
But you were talking about Lisan previously. You didn't mention the name, but it's homemade in Linköping University, but it is actually...
It's a SharePoint site.
It's SharePoint,
Yeah.
365, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's where you can communicate. You put in your labs, and we return comments, and then you can return
So
it
again,
again. And
digital.
you see all the PDFs there. You see all the labs there, and so
So
on.
everybody needs their own computer, basically, their own laptop.
I will guess,
Yes.
say yes.
Yeah. How long is the coursework, and when does one get to start a project? So a course or you know, I'm not quite sure. So how long is the coursework, and when does one get to start the project?
usually from my experience, at least in my programs, after the first 2 weeks are usually only theoretical lectures, and then at the very beginning of the course the professor will give you a detailed breakdown of a timeline that he expects students to work. Then he would provide you a Gantt chart. Okay, so you should start working on your project from week 4, and then on week, for example, 8, I will have like a feedback meeting with you to see your progress, and then on week 12, then after 2 weeks you'll finish. So it depends on the course structure, but in every course that I have taken, the professor always gives a detailed breakdown of all the deadlines and the checkpoints, and they also provide a checklist as to what you have to complete for the project. Oh, this is another thing, that be very clear about the grade requirement, because a lot of the students who I've seen struggle with the courses, it's because they didn't understand what the professor wants from them, and then there was a gap of communication. So always, if you're confused about something or what it means, ask the professor, they will clarify, and then it would be much easier for you to progress.
Okay.
But each course is 6 ECTS credits,
Okay.
or 12.
Okay.
But I guess it's mainly the project course in the second year that is 12 ECTS. Otherwise, it's 6.
So
And that's why it's 5 courses each semester, because then we got 30
we
credits.
get a 30 credits.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do students have the privilege of getting assistance from their project supervisor?
Yes, absolutely. Project supervisors are really helpful, and they usually the professor will select a supervisor based on what type of project you are doing. So so they are usually more experienced in that topic, and I think you should be very interactive with your supervisor, because you'll learn most of the new information from them, and they're usually very, very helpful.
Then it depends on the courses. If you start in year 1, maybe with 100 students, you are not specifically having a project assistant, but you are talking maybe more about the course in the second year.
When you are
final
You're more focused into your project, and then you have your supervisor almost. But in the first year, it's a little bit more of self-work, and you have one assistant for maybe 20 students or something like that.
True. Especially the mandatory courses, they usually have like a lot of students.
And most programs start with a couple of mandatory courses in order to get everyone on to the same
to make
bar.
sure that everybody's kind of the same page at the beginning.
You're coming from different parts of the world, and we try to fast give them the same stuff.
So would you say the first semester is mandatory, or first half?
Industrial, it is the first. Mechanical, I think it's 3 of, or it's
also in the first semester all 5 courses
all 5
are mandatory.
Okay.
So it's pretty common that you have 3 to 5 courses, I would say, and then you choose your specializations for the second semester.
Yes, exactly.
The next question is from Lewis. Hi. Are the international programs separated from the Swedish students? I'm asking because I also want to get in touch with Swedes during my time in Sweden.
Both?
Yes.
I will say.
Well, in the first semester, usually when you do the mandatory courses, you do it with other international students. Or yes, because those are kind of basic course or like foundation course. But when you select your specialization, then you integrate with the Swedish 5-year program, and then you'll have a lot of chances to work with more Swedish students. Even for me, in my first semester, I met all the international students, and from the second semester, I met a lot of Swedish students, and I've been working with them ever since.
Okay.
And you met also students from other programs in your first semester, because I know that mechanical and then industrial and the sustainability, they have common courses. I guess at least 1 or 2 courses together.
Also have a look at the student associations, because even though you think they might only be in Swedish, you should join them. Are you in the car one? The Formula One?
Yes, the
I
Formula
thought you said you like cars. There's a group that you're building a Formula One car, aren't you?
Yes, that's a really good way to meet more Swedish students and improve your network. Also, if you're passionate about cars, that's the one you should go for.
And then you go to Silverstone or Monza to participate in a competition.
Yes.
But the competition is usually not being the fastest. It's more like less
one
petrol.
Actually lasts. Oh, sorry.
No, it's coming as long as possible on 1 gallon of petrol or whatever, as I understood it.
Well, that sounds good though. Sounds fun. Another question, is the tuition fee refundable if my visa will not be issued? Yes, we will refund tuition fee when studies are cancelled due to the residence permit not being issued. Some other extraordinary circumstances as well, but yeah, it's that is one of the reasons. Right, do we know, what about computer science? Are any preparation needed before joining LIU? Do you know?
I'm not really sure. What I know from the Swedish students here are taking a lot of different programming languages, like Python, almost also Ada, which is very old but very friendly when you start programming, for example. I know, of course, C++, I know Java, and so on. And usually the ones at computer science don't say that it doesn't matter what kind of language you are, it's how you're thinking with your for loops and your if statements and so on. So I think it doesn't really matter what kind of language you start, and it's the way of thinking.
You're thinking.
The way of thinking, and of course you need at least 1 in order to start the computer science, and I think you should also have 1 when it comes to the mechanical. Then they are using MATLAB, but MATLAB is the same. You need your for loops, you need your while statement, and so on.
Okay, all those. So, yeah, I mean,
it's no problem of not knowing MATLAB. It's the problem of not knowing a for loop.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
yeah. So, and I think if you're coming in to do a computer science master's, that means you have a bachelor's already in the subject. So you will know programming.
Yeah.
But have a look on the program page, and there should be a syllabus somewhere there, and that'll give you some tips, hints of what to expect. And if you then feel that you need to refresh certain areas, you can do that in the summer.
What I know is that we are working a lot also in projects when it comes to programming, and they are programming things. They are programming web shops, for example.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just knowing a for loop. You need to know how to program it. You know how to put it together with everything and make it work. It's not knowing just. It should be looking like something like this. It has to be correct,
yes,
because you're putting that into a program, maybe together with others, and then you make a big program where your program is just a part of the program, and then it's very vital.
It's group work again.
It's group work again.
Yeah,
I heard about courses there where they are 30 people in one group and making a big thing for a company, for example, and then you are programming your little part, but that part need to fit in perfectly.
Else.
You can't saying, oh, it's that variable is not that necessary. For example, you need to be
so
very
so that's why you need to be kind of structured and
very
again,
structured and knowing also how to program in real life.
Yeah.
So that's what I can I know about computer science.
That's what we So I hope that was helpful. Another question is, how is the joint assignment group projects organized? That is, who organizes the teams?
Usually you find your own teammates. You'll have the list of all students who have registered for that course, and then you can email them, or if you don't find any member, then the professor will assign you a member. Okay. So, but it's usually very easy to find. Most people do very similar courses, and then they stay together throughout many courses. But I'd encourage you meet other people, then you'd learn more information.
Not just the same group for everything.
Yes, exactly.
Do you help? I mean, do you?
We help, but usually we try to, as you say, let the students decide. But I know courses that I also are a teaching in, that we using random or in order to mix the students. But that's a course for only Swedish students in finance. But I know that we are not flipping the coin, but almost.
But be open-minded. I think that's good advice. You know, just kind of. I mean, it's probably easy and comfortable, and you're kind of in your comfort zone with the group that you've spent a lot of time with. But shake up a bit. You know, get to know other people and their way of thinking and working.
You'll also meet a lot of Erasmus students throughout the master's program, and it's very nice to see how the education works in other countries and get used to different culture. It really helps.
And you're doing your master thesis together with a Swedish student from another program.
Yes.
But in the same subject. So I mean, it's very possible to make those kind of connections. You're from mechanical and he from design and production. But you managed to make it together. We are open for that. You can't take students from whatever, but in that case it's very close to each other, and maybe the subject is the same. But so it's a really nice example where Swedish students meet
mix with our international
students.
And this is kind of, you know, there's another question, is like, you know, 1 or 2 hints to quickly merge and socialize with other peers to enhance the learning and project assignment results. That's kind of what we're saying here a bit. Kind of how do you? So you just email somebody, or you just go up to somebody, or you know, what are the top tips?
I email people, and then they usually respond very quickly. And I met most of the people during the lab. Usually, if you're stuck, you ask the person beside you, or then somebody comes and asks you a questions, and then that's how you start a conversation. And it's very important to be active during the class as well. So because if you are active, then other students would be more comfortable talking with you. So then you can also you'll appear
active.
more approachable.
Yeah.
And also active at this roll call
Yes.
and
Yes.
the first 2 weeks there when
Yeah.
you a little bit more relaxed, networking, and then
Participating in the activities.
participating, not only sitting talking with the friends from the same country.
Yeah.
Try to find other. You don't need to find a Swedish guy or girl. You can find one from Spain or from France or whatever.
Somewhere,
It's just this mixture.
Just mix. And then as you said from the beginning, ISA and ESN are
their
two.
own opening weekend period, so then they host like a lot of programs. It's very encouraged to attend them.
Yeah. So definitely, get involved at the beginning. Don't be shy, and just remember, everybody is in your position. Nobody, pretty much nobody, knows anybody. There might be the odd one, but everybody's out there to find friends and make new contacts. So I think it's just approach people.
Yes.
And this master program is. We are also taking Swedish students to this master program, so it's a mixture between Swedish students or EU students actually, but and master students from outside the European Union. So it's from the beginning the program is international also.
Thanks. Right, now I can see that we have 10 more minutes, so we've got a bunch of questions we need to get through. Suleiman is wondering regarding accommodation. How do you apply for housing? Does Linköping University provide dorms for master students? Have a look at our website. There is a page on student accommodation. It'll tell you everything you need to know. You do need to apply soon. You should register because once you register you start earning points, and every day you earn a new point. So the sooner you're in the queue, the better. We have another webinar at 4 today, and we will talk a bit more about housing and the practical sides of coming here and living here. But are you in a corridor?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
What is it? It's, briefly, what is a corridor?
A corridor is basically you have 8 rooms, one for each tenant, and then you share the living space and kitchen. So you have your own keys to your corridor and then one keys to your room.
You have your own bathroom, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So you and that's a great way of getting to know people as well, because you get to know your dorm friends and their friends, and yeah, so that's kind of a dorm, but it's a corridor, but it's private and it's sociable.
Yes, I think it's the best way to meet people as well.
Yeah. So sign up to get one of those. Somebody is wondering if they can do part-time job. Legally, yes, you're allowed to work whilst you're a student. You'll get a working visa with your residence permit. But I think from what we've heard, I'm not quite sure when you're supposed to do it, because
it's a lot of work during the days and during the week. So I will not recommend it. No.
I mean, I think there has been sad examples when it really hasn't
We have a lot of
worked.
examples where the students is not participating in courses, and we are wondering where they are, and later we find out that they've been working all day or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not working.
No,
sorry.
and I think the way you're saying as well, you're doing Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. You do need the weekend. You need the weekend to relax. You need the nights to sleep. So even if you found something delivering newspapers really, really early in the morning, still you need to kind of recharge your batteries at that time.
Yep.
And so you need to have your finances in order before you start your program. That is absolutely central to being successful on the program, to be able to focus on your studies, and to be able to kind of be flexible to fit into the group work sessions, which can take place when everybody else is available, and also when you do these courses and the schedule shifts after 7 weeks, it's difficult to kind of do something where you have another commitment that you have to be somewhere a certain time. So it's not recommended.
No, you're becoming isolated.
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah.
Instead of what you're talking about,
Yeah.
all the things that are great.
Yeah, exactly.
That you
fun,
meet other people and you have different lab buddies and so on, it's much better. Otherwise, you will be isolated, and people will not want to work with you because you're not there.
No, and being here is important.
It is important.
Actually, we have a question. How many students have been admitted to the aeronautical engineering program? Do we know?
I think it was 53. That's what I remember. Maybe it was 48, but
48,
it's
53.
It's about 50.
Around
It's
50 then.
I think it's more than it's going up every year. It's not a program that I'm responsible for, but it's very close to my program, industrial. So I keep my left eye on that one. And I'm very happy that it's going up all the time, and it's a very good program with almost making aeroplanes fly in the end in year 2, or I think they fly. They do fly, but they are building their own aeroplane in a big group, and they can see it fly.
They also take them to Silverstone. So you got the car and then you got the plane above it.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no, you don't. They don't. Yeah.
They at least do stunts with the plane.
Yeah. Oh wow. They can do that. Sorry. Yeah.
We have, you know.
Yeah.
We are famous for flying in this.
We do have one of the
manufacturing.
Exactly, one of the factories here, and there's used to be military. Well, there is a military base as well, but there's a lot of aeroplanes and kind of connected industries in this area.
Yes.
Are there any Swedish classes where you can learn Swedish for newbies? So.
Yes, there are Swedish for international students. That's a course you can register.
And that one, I'm afraid, if you're a fee-paying student, it is not free. So you have to pay extra for that one, unfortunately.
And it's not included in the programs.
No, so it's not included. So it's an extra thing you have to apply for extra. But you can do SFE, which is the kind of municipality-run course. So there are other ways of doing it if you don't get onto this program. What about materials, books, software, etc.? Will LIU provide this?
Well, in the library you can always borrow books, and the professors, if it's mandatory reading, they would provide certain chapters, or they would also provide you the literature. And softwares you can download from the, we have the IT server from where you can download a lot of the softwares, and most of our lab computers are equipped with all the rest of the softwares you'll be needing throughout the course. So mostly you'll never...
in the labs you use the lab computers,
Yes.
or you bring your own laptop?
You can bring your own laptop, but you are encouraged to use the lab computers because they have the license. You can also remotely access them from a distance mode if you want as well, but you can. It should always be on the lab.
Yeah. Okay. Because
It's
that's
better
why
to be
you.
there, but during distant mode with.
It worked. Okay.
For the pandemic, we arranged it so you can sit down and log on to a computer, and it looks like you're sitting at that computer. So you can actually log on with an Apple to, it looks like you're on a Windows computer. I haven't done it.
No, but you could do that. Okay.
You can do it.
Yeah. So you could do that, but you won't be able to clone the lab assistants though.
No.
Not yet. We're not there yet.
You should be
there.
But of course, it's if you want to do something more in the lab during.
Or if you're ill.
Or you're ill.
It's
a possibility.
Yeah. How many days classes are there in the first semester for the Masters of Mechanical Engineering students? So basically, in the first semester, do you have classes and lectures every day, Monday to Friday, for the whole semester? Apart from
I would say roughly for 6 weeks, and then it,
And then you have the 2 weeks.
Decrease a little bit for 1 week, so that's 7 weeks. And then we have the re-exam period. Hopefully you should not be there, and then the exam period. So I will say 4 or 5 days for re-exams and 4 or 5 days for exams. Sometimes Saturdays.
And then you start the next period, and then for the first 6 weeks again, you have classes every day.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yes, pretty much. And then it's Christmas. So you get a little bit more of weeks to study there, and so the re-exams and exams are after New Year.
In January, okay.
Yeah, in January.
Thought you were going to
Correct.
say you get a bit of more time to have a break at Christmas, but you said you're going to have more time to study.
I think you should have a break at Christmas as well, but
You can combine it.
I think
Yeah.
you should combine it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should not be studying all the time. It's not good either. No.
No, that's true. Another question on what about the time during the exams? Is there enough time in between, or are they all in 1 week?
It depends on how many courses you're taking, but they're very close to each other. There aren't many holidays in between two exams.
No, sometimes you have three
Yes,
exams
yes.
in 6 days. Personally, I think that's too much. I think we should expand that with a couple of days instead.
Each exam is how long is an exam?
4
take?
hours.
It's a 4-hour exam, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's in the beginning of the day from 8, and that's not 8:15.
Okay,
It's
so the
8
exams is
sharp.
8.
Yeah,
Okay,
the exams
yeah.
shape
And
to
if
12.
you're late for the exam,
Oof.
they lock the door, right?
Yeah, they lock
Yes.
the door.
They lock the door. So this is really another thing that you
Very serious.
have to be on time for.
And you
have
need to register it
yeah.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, you're
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
not allowed.
And
And then
this-
we have the second from 14 to 18. So there is not two opportunities, but it's one exam
Okay.
in the beginning and one in the
And
end.
there's only one opportunity for each exam.
Yes.
So yeah, so you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
yeah. So it's not like well that time suits me better. No,
Nope.
that's when you have the
Nope.
exam.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the re-exam,
And then the next
the next one.
period. Okay.
And then
So-
we have 3 exams each year, or possibility. Hopefully you take the first one,
Yeah.
but then you have a re-exam and then a third exam always in August.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
So you
it's-
have 3 opportunities to
Yes.
pass. Someone is also wondering how long the vacations are.
Vacation?
Yes, from a gatherer, you don't seem to
I guess
get
it's
that.
about 10 weeks in the summer, roughly. You end up with like 14th of June, some 15th. It depends on when you have your exams. And then you start again, depending on if you have re-exams or not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you start the 1st of September. Otherwise, you start about 15th of August. So
Yes.
something like that. And then you have also some kind of vacation during Christmas.
Yes.
So it's 2 breaks.
2 breaks, yeah. Not that much Eastern holiday.
No.
I mean, we are now there.
Yeah, yeah,
My children is home,
yeah.
but I'm not. I'm
You're
not. I'm
no,
here,
And you're not.
and you're not. No,
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
are.
So it's more, yeah.
It's more work.
Yeah. I'm just going to clarify that yes, you have to register for an exam. I just saw that pop up. You have to register for the exams, and you do that on this.
You can do
Lis-
it using the LIU app, or you can
Yeah.
go to LISAM or website and register for it. But the professor usually gives you a notification that please
Do we?
register. Oh, I mean, at least for us, they usually say that register for the exam. Also, you can get an email notification as well.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Sometimes. Yeah.
but it's important to remember register and to be on time.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of finish off here. There is one last question about the scope of the Masters in Intelligent Transport Systems and Logistics.
Yes.
What can it offer after completion? Do we know what kind of career?
I've been working with that program. It's in Norrköping, which is a twin city. We haven't not talked about, but it's in Norrköping, and that's like 1 hour with the bus, because there is a free bus going from Linköping to Norrköping and back about
free?
12 times,
Yeah.
12 times a day.
Free for students.
Free for students. And I think the opportunities is like here, when you are working in that area with transport systems and so on. It's good with a lot of research there as well. I don't know about PhD positions, but strong research, as I said. Yeah, I think we like transportation systems in Sweden and logistics and stuff like that. So I will not say it's different from what Anand was discussing about mechanical previously. I think it's almost the same opportunities, but you need to be as an active
Yeah.
searching and active during your whole studying period
Yeah.
here to get
And you
into the
mentioned-
society in some
maybe
sense.
trying to find an internship in the summer between year 1 and 2,
Yeah.
which again the emphasis and the onus is on you to find it yourself. So there are opportunities, but you know.
Also, it's really important to do well in the courses because they do
Yeah.
matter a lot.
Yes.
It's very competitive, so always be very serious from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Right. We have we're going to run over by a few minutes, but thank you so much for having joined us. I hope you found this useful. This recording will be on our webpage and on our YouTube account. So once we've kind of done the tags that we need to do, we'll upload it and you can view it again. To get in touch with us, the quickest way to get an answer is to reply to an email or a correspondence that you've already had from us. So the invite to this webinar, for example, just hit reply on that email, and that's the quickest and easiest way of getting in touch with us. But then, as I mentioned before, Facebook, you can send us a message via Facebook, Linköping University, and Instagram and the blog and the podcasts. Those are the absolute best ways of finding out information about what it's like to be here from well, the horse's mouth, but from the students themselves, and ask them questions as well. And with that, I would just like to say thank you and thank you. I mean, it's been great.
you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.